Hey, my friend, it's good to have you back here with me again. I'm really happy to be with you, and well, it's nice to be invited into your home once again. I hope you're ready to do another fun watercolor painting because I got something really neat planned. We're going to do a seascape today, and you know how much I love the water, and boy, I hope you love the water too. Well, while I get started here, all the colors are going to be flashing across the screen for you so you know exactly what I'm using. And you know what we like to do. Every time we go ahead and start one of these, we want to begin with the sky. So it makes it so much easier to start with the sky like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my big old round brush. I got a big round brush here. It's made with natural hairs. I really like the natural hairs because they hold so much water. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my brush into a well that has both phthalo blue and quinacridone magenta in here. I'm going to get about an even mix of both of them because I want a middle blue color. And the thing about that is I could use ultramarine blue and get just the same color, but it would have a different texture to it because ultramarine is a very granular color, whereas phthalo blue has very little texture or no texture. And that makes a lot of difference. You really have to ask yourself with watercolor, what kind of texture do I want with my painting? Now, let me get my flat brush here out. And let me make sure I don't have any paint on it. It's good to go there. Alright, so let's go ahead and just wipe our brush. Now this flat brush I'm using is made with synthetic hairs, so it doesn't hold as much water. But I still really like to use it for putting down, washes and painting wet and wet. If you paint wet and wet with watercolor, boy, that's really where watercolor tends to shine, is when you go ahead and just let it do its thing. When you put a wet color into a wet color, you really get to watch that color blossom, and it feels so good inside to watch that paint move. Alright, so we got a real small sky today. We don't have a big one at all, do we? No, we don't. So we'll just go ahead and, look at that. Look at that. Got ourselves quite a muted sky, don't we? Yeah, we got ourselves quite a little bit of a dull thing going here. Alright. Now remember that the horizon line is going to be somewhere at the top here. Now this is because we're using an alternate type of view. You don't always have to look at your scene head on. You don't always have to paint your scene head on. You can look up, you can look down. Just remember that the horizon line is wherever, well, the horizon line is when you're looking directly ahead. Wherever your eyes meet off in the distance is where the horizon line is. And sometimes the horizon line is hidden. Sometimes it's hidden. Sometimes it's real sneaky like that. You gotta watch out. Okay. Now we're gonna create some makeshift clouds here. So what I'm gonna do, take my toilet paper, bunched up. That way we get that irregular pattern, and we're just gonna, tap it here. And look at that. We already got clouds. Get a little more at the bottom there, just to get a little bit of encouragement. Okay, that's about all we gotta do for that. Now let's get our other round brush out. I got 2 rounds. If you only got 1 round, actually you just use whatever you got. Maybe you don't have the same tools I do. If you don't have the same tools, it's all good. Just use whatever you got. Okay, I'm gonna use a little bit of phthalo green and Nicolazo yellow here because I want a real bright yellowish color. I want kind of a bright yellow green. So I'm going to use a lot of Nicolazo yellow on top of that phthalo green like that, okay? Now, here's what I want to do. After I got that mixed up, I'm going to take my other flat brush, because I got 2 flat brushes going. I don't know if you knew that, but I do. Okay. And you might notice that I'm mixing paint. When I'm mixing paint, I'm really rinsing the brushes really well. I got 3 wells in my bucket here. I got a water bucket off to the side here. One well is for washing, another well is for washing, and then, well, the last well is just to paint with. That way, when I use the painting well with all the water in it, it just has the cleanest color you could possibly imagine. And I never, hardly ever, I say never, but really it's hardly ever, I hardly ever mix muddy color. It's just one of those things that's made my life so much easier when I rinse the brush twice, and then I rinse the brush twice, and then I paint once. That's the artist equivalent of measuring twice and cutting once. Okay, you notice I'm really applying the strokes pretty dry here. And I'm doing that pretty deliberately, honestly. Okay, that's really all we gotta do. And we can go ahead and take that little piece of toilet paper that we have and dab a little at that, just to lighten the value a little bit. Because maybe we want to lighten the value some. You never know. Maybe we'll go in here. I think that's good. I don't have to fool around with that anymore. I just want to lighten the value off in the distance a little bit, because you know how it is. When things are off in the distance, they look a little lighter, don't they? Yeah, they look a little lighter. You notice the sky, that the top of the sky is darker than the bottom. That's because the top of the sky is closer to us than the bottom of the sky. That's why that's happening. I don't know if you knew that, but you do now. See, that's really what it's all about, is just learning things. It helps to go ahead and just kick back and watch this one time and then take a crack at it for yourself. Because I know how hard painting is. It's hard enough to paint without worrying about, can I keep up with him? No, you don't have to keep up with me. Don't try to keep up with me. Just kick back, relax, and see what happens. Okay? Now. Here's what I want to do. I want to get a little bit more of that nickel azo yellow. Alright? I want to get a lot of that nickel azo yellow, actually. And I'm going to go... what am I going to do? I'm going to do something wild. I'm going to do something wild. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a lot of that, nickel azo yellow and that phthalo green, and I'm going to go over all these rocks, I think. Ooh, I'm going to do something bold. I'm crazy. Watch this. Okay. Now this is what we call a glazing technique. I'm laying down just a basic wash here. And I'm just, I'm finding all the forms of the rocks. And you probably noticed too that I have a very light drawing on my piece. I really recommend that you put in a drawing before you do all this, because it's going to make your life so much easier when you go to paint. You might think to yourself, ooh, I don't need to go ahead and do that. Well, I don't know if I would do that. I'm laying in my stuff pretty dry here. That's really not what I want to do most of the time, but sometimes I want to get things moving a little faster. So I use a little bit of a dry brush technique. Okay. And I'll just take some more of that phthalo and that nickel azo yellow, and I'll go back in here and... Okay. There it goes. And I'll go back and get a little bit more. Just keep going until you got the whole thing covered. It's all good here. Here. Now, you want to move relatively fast. What I'm going to do, I think I'm going to lift a little bit of this color. Okay? As I say, you want to move fast when you do this, otherwise you might find yourself up that creek, Might find yourself in a little bit of a hard place. Okay. Now let's go ahead and rip off some toilet paper. This is just cheap old toilet paper, nothing special. That stuff at the office that you don't like, the stuff that the boss cheaps out on, even though he's got the nice stuff in his own personal bathroom. Yeah, this is the stuff that you guys get to use. And boy, oh boy, this stuff is a pain in the butt, I'll tell you. But it sure is nice for painting. I'll tell you that much. Couldn't ask for a nicer, friendlier tool to paint with. And that's as the first layer of my rocks here, okay? That easy. Now, let's go ahead and get a little bit of nickel azo yellow and pyro orange going here. Ooh. Let's see here. This is... Okay, that color was a little muddy for a second. I don't want to do that because this is a pretty important color we're about to lay down. Now, I want to get a lot more nickel azo yellow to the pyro orange here. A lot more nickel azo yellow to the pyro orange. Okay, let's go ahead and feel this. Is that dry yet? Ooh, that feels dry. Well, that's what the benefit of the dry brush is. You get a drier surface much faster, but it's also a little harder to cover because you got to use a lot more paint. So the trade-off, if you paint wet, wet, you can use less paint, but also it takes a little longer to dry. On the other hand, if you dry brush, there's a shorter time, but you gotta use more paint. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let me test that in my hand, see if I got any paint on there. We're good. Alright, let's go up into these little splash marks here. Now remember with watercolor, you always want to paint the light stuff first. It's very much unlike oil painting in that regard, or gouache. You gotta paint the light stuff first before you paint all the dark colors. Otherwise, you're gonna have a tough time painting all those light colors, let me clue you. Now, I've done it before. I've done it. I'm not too proud of the way I did it, but I did it. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm not gonna wet all that. I'm just gonna fly by the seat of my pants here. I'm gonna get a little bit more of that nickel azo yellow. Alright, now we're just gonna, okay. And if you really want, you can go up here and maybe flick a few things. Like that. Maybe we can flick a few things right in here. Maybe up here too. You know, just to make it a little bit more creative like that. There. Now, I'm gonna take away the majority of this because I want this to be a very light color, right? Yeah, I want it to be a very light color. You don't want to go in and have things looking too dark. No. We gotta save a little bit. Save a little bit. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. And we'll go in here and. There. Now this looks real weird right now. This is supposed to be all the water in here, but we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna let it. Ooh, got my paper caught on one of the brushes. Okay. A lot of times what I do is I apply the color a little bit more intense than I really should. And then, oops, I thought that maybe we got some permanent paint on there, but nope. That was just a piece of the toilet paper peeling off. It's all good. Okay, now we got all of our splash stuff done. Let's go ahead down in here and get some of the water that's in the foreground here. Now we got this little, we're going to get this little thing right here, and maybe this, and I don't know. You can just draw it wherever, really. Okay. But don't get on the rocks. Ooh, you got to preserve those rocks. Preserve them. Cherish them. Be good to them. Please be good to them. Oh dear. Okay. Alright. And, you know, we're just kind of notating all the little things over here. There. If you ever want, you can do it like a zigzag type of thing, like because it doesn't matter all that much. It matters a little bit, but it doesn't matter that much. Okay? Alright. Now let's go ahead quickly. Remember, when you do that sort of thing, you gotta be quick. Boy. Like grease lightning. Ooh. There it goes. If you're still quick, and the paint has dried a little bit, you can re-wet the paper a little bit and get rid of some of that color. Okay? Just FYI on that one. Now, Pyro Orange is a very staining color, extremely staining. So you gotta be real careful with it. And I don't know if I was the most careful I could be, but there it goes. Now I just want to get this light enough that the color isn't quite so intense on that hue. The value needs to be dropped a little bit. Okay. Now don't worry if you accidentally get a few stains here and there. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. All right. All right. That's probably about fine there. All right. That's good. All right. Let's go ahead and rinse off our brushes. Now what I want is let me go ahead and scrub off my palette. Just a moment here. Oh yeah. Gotta get some of that color off here. Every so often you gotta clean off your palette. It's okay. Don't let it bother you. Every so often you gotta clean it off. If you do, just do it. Scrub it. It's all good. Okay. Here we go. Now that's too much yellow. That's too much yellow. Let's go ahead and clean off that brush a little more. Okay. Let's go ahead and take, what do I want to take? I want to take a little bit of, I'm going to take some phthalo green and some, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit of the, yeah, I'm going to take some of that phthalo blue there. Phthalo blue, phthalo green. That's all there is to it. Okay. Now here's what I'm going to do. After mixing a lot of that phthalo blue and phthalo green, and I want a little bit more phthalo blue on this one. Okay. I'm going to go in with my flat brush here, get a little bit of that color, and now we're going to go up in here. Here, I might need a little bit more of that phthalo blue in there. Okay. Alright. Now we're kind of just gonna make some marks here and there, leave some spaces, leave some spaces, leave some spaces. Okay. There. Now this is where the water line is, and off in the distance, it's going to be much deeper, okay? Just a little FYI on that one, all right? That's really all there is to this. That's all there is to this, okay? And look at that. Look how easily we were able to paint that. Okay, let's get a little bit more green in here now. Just a touch more green, okay. That's enough. That's enough. Okay, add a lot more water to this now. And while that's drying, we gotta let that dry for a second. We can't paint that. We can't paint that yet. Okay, I'm gonna mix another color. Here, we need to get a color that we need to get more of that middle blue that we were using earlier. So let's get some more of that. Yeah, let's get some more of the phthalo blue and the quinacridone magenta and mix it up real nice. Ooh, yeah, get a lot of it. Get a lot of it. Don't skimp. Don't be stingy, because we're going to need a lot of it. You know what I like to tell you? Always use a lot more than you think you need, because so often turns out you're going to need it. All right, we got both the colors that we need right here, and I got 2 flat brushes going, so that should be enough to get all this color just in the place it needs to go, which is, well, that is the point, isn't it? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go right here. Okay. All right. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm going to keep my towel nearby, my rag, so that I make sure that I don't accidentally let things dry, because we ran into a little bit of trouble back there, and luckily it's not gonna cripple us, but it was a little drier than I would have liked it. Okay, yeah, this is how we do it. This is much easier. Yeah, okay. All right. There we go. here we'll place a few things, maybe like this. Yeah, that's good. We'll throw down a couple here for good measure. All right. There it goes. There it goes. All right. That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. Now, while that's having itself a little bit of a dry spell, ooh, that's still a little wet, isn't it? Yeah, it's still a little wet. Well, we can go ahead and maybe add a couple more strokes in here that make it look like there's a little bit more variation. There. You know, add them wherever. Like that. Maybe over here. Okay. Yeah, this flat brush is really great for making waves like this. It's really easy to go in and just make real quick waves. And notice how when we put them right up against all those little areas where we noted all the light playing in the water there, all the reflections, that this is starting to really pop. Oh, it's starting to pop so much. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, it is. Oh, it sure is. Okay. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to take some of that phthalo green and that Nicolazo yellow like we were using earlier. And mix that up real good. Okay. And we're just going to get a little bit over in here. Okay. There it goes. Right in here too. Okay. And maybe a couple strokes right here. Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. Having too much fun. That's what I'm doing. We have lots of fun here. Admittedly, I have lots of fun. Okay. Let's go ahead and maybe lift that. And okay, I think we're about ready to paint the rest of that. So let's go ahead with our lighter version of that turquoise and go right in here. And we'll just go. Okay. We'll go right up to the rocks here. That's really all we gotta do. Alright. Go up right to the splashes. Okay. And okay, cool. And like I say, when in doubt, you can zigzag and leave some little pinholes of light, some little streaks of light in there. And that'll make it a little easier for you, I think. Yeah, I think that might make it a little easier. Okay? You can even go down beneath each of these little areas where you made that yellow. And you can put a little bit more value in there, okay? There. There it goes. There it goes. That's all we gotta do. All we gotta do. Alright. Actually, you know what we could do? Oh, I just had a thought here. We could go ahead and tack on a little bit more of the phthalo blue back here. There. You want to try to keep the horizon line relatively even. Sometimes it's easier said than done, you know. Oh, you know. Oh, we've all been there. Trying to get that horizon line just right. It's easier if you use a piece of tape. But we don't have tape right now, so we're just doing it this way. You try to get it relatively even. If it doesn't look perfectly straight, just pretend that there's a bunch of waves back there. The power of pretend is A lot of fun, my friends. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're almost done with all this stuff right here. Let's go ahead with the last flourishes down in this area. Get a little bit more of that turquoise over in here. You know? Yeah. Maybe a little bit more over in here. Maybe that color shifts. Right? Yeah, maybe it shifts. Yeah. That's looking nice. Okay. Yeah, make it real light. Make it real light. It's not a real dark turquoise. It's just a turquoise. Okay. Go in there. There it goes. All right. All right. All right. All right. We need an orangish yellow color again. And this time it's going to be a little bit more. We need an orangish yellow color, and this time it's going to be a little bit more of that pie roll. So we're going to get the Nicolazo yellow. We're going to get the pie roll orange. All right. All right. And you know what I'm going to get? You know what I'm going to get? Ooh. Actually, you know what I could do? I'm going to get the quinacridone magenta, the Nicolazo yellow, and mix myself a nice orange color in here. Because we use a triad mix a lot of the time on this series. And what that triad mix is it's Nicolazo yellow, quinacridone magenta, and ultramarine blue. And those colors form our textural mix. And what I mean by that is that we mix a little bit of ultramarine in there just to give it a little hint of flavor, a little bit of texture in there. All right, so I can mix a nice orange from Nicolazo yellow and quinacridone magenta. Okay, and with just a hint of ultramarine in there. Ooh, things are looking good now. Now, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna dip my flat brush in here. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna use this, and we're gonna just we do a lot of times we splay the brush out. All right. And I'm gonna go over a lot of what I've done here. Okay. I'm going to use this to create some mottled texture in here. And you don't have to paint each individual rock, you know, because you do that and you're going to go a little crazy. You're going to go a little nuts. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Just go in like so and let the paint break. Splay the brushes out with your fingers. Push them apart a little bit. And then just drag the brush along. That's really all there is to it. Okay? Alright. And eventually, we're going to find a certain color that works. Now, the way that this is going to work is we got all these colors playing together. Alright? Alright. And it's going to create the impression that there's a big mass of rocks here. Like, let's see here, we've got maybe this one going just like that, and maybe we're going back again, and you know, we can create layers like that. Maybe you want to create some separation there, and I'll create some separation here too. Alright, here's all there is to that. Maybe down here. Okay, there we got that. Now we're going to go there. Now we got all those rocks painted so easily. And maybe there's a few stragglers in there. We can get them like that, and yeah, that's not too hard. Maybe we got one over here too. Maybe we got a loner over here. Okay, maybe he's kind of hiding in the wave there. That's looking cool. Yeah, that's looking real cool. Alright, so now what we do is we add a little bit more ultramarine to the mix. And now we get ourselves a color that's a little darker. We get ourselves a brown color, right? Yeah, we get ourselves a brown color. And the benefit of that dry brushing technique, because that's what that is dry brushing. When you use no water, use a brush like that, you use very little paint, as little paint as possible, while still getting a good amount of color on there. It's a fine balancing act, painting like this. So you gotta pay attention. And now that we got all these general colors laid down, let's go ahead and pick out some shadows. Because, you know, find your separations. Like, maybe we're going like this. Okay? And then we got one separation there. Here's another one right here. Okay? Maybe I got one right there. Okay? Now, yeah, maybe I got a few things in there. Why not? Why not? Here. Okay. And maybe down here we're starting to find a few more things. Let those other colors shine through. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. It's fine. We'll go ahead and, ooh, you know what we can do? There. I'm finding little shadows everywhere. Here. You don't even have to do that much. Just go along, and keep letting some light shine through. You want to let some more light shine through on some areas versus others, alright? Okay. Had an itch in my head there. It's alright. Okay. Okay, we got ourselves a nice little... Okay, there it goes. Okay. See? The patterns of rocks are not necessarily hard to figure out. It's just a matter of searching for them and kind of just letting them happen. There. And then maybe we can go in here, just like that, get that one. Why not? Why not, right? And here we'll go ahead and just find some more things in there. Maybe there's... Yeah, maybe there's some shapes down at the bottom there, and maybe we're gonna go... This is... When you get right down to it, maybe there's a lot of shadows in here. Yeah, maybe there is. I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's a lot of shadow in there. Here, let's get a lot of ultramarine in here. Let's get a lot of ultramarine, alright? And let's mix the darkest color yet in this particular mix. Find something that's, oh, pretty neutral. Something not too... There. You get just enough of the ultramarine in there, and you're going to find a very neutral brown. Ooh. You might have to add a little bit of quinacridone magenta to get just the right color. Alright? Look at this. Look at this. Look how close we are. Now, this is your darkest color, so be a little judicious about where you put it. Put it where you want the most separation to be. Like maybe I want it to go in here. Yeah, why not? There it goes. Yeah. Okay. And right in here is where I want some more separation. Here, I'll put a little bit in here too. There it goes. And we'll put a little right in that top there. Doesn't that look nice? Yeah, that looks nice. Here. Go ahead and throw some more up in there too. There. And maybe one up here, another. Ooh. Here's what we can do. Yeah, there's more separation right there. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. We got a big old rock here, don't we? Yeah, it's a big old rock. Okay. It's important to add real dark colors like this because it makes those light colors really pop. Don't be afraid to add those dark colors in there. I know we're so often afraid to go really dark on things like this, with watercolors especially, but we can't be afraid. We have to do it, or else we'll never find that right color. Okay? There. And like I say, if you're having trouble figuring out, just drag your brush. Look for the separations. You'll find them. Usually it just goes top to bottom. And that's a lot of times all you really have to do. Okay. Look at that. We've got a pretty nice looking bunch of rocks here now, don't we? I never thought I'd say that in my life. We got a pretty nice looking bunch of rocks here, fellas. Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. Boy, that's a nice looking pile of rocks. Okay. All right. Well, I'm probably fiddling with that too much. Here, let's go ahead now. Let's go ahead now and get maybe a little bit of that. Still got a lot of green on it. Sometimes we gotta rinse it a little bit more vigorously than that. Okay. Now here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna look for. Some areas here where I feel like, ooh, there should be a little bit more. There should be a little bit more of that blue color. Because maybe in here. Okay. Yeah, there she goes. Oh yeah. Like I say, don't be afraid of those values. Don't be afraid of those values. And don't be afraid to leave some things blank too. Part of the magic of watercolor is letting the colors breathe a little bit. Letting it breathe. Okay. It's a balancing act is what it is. You gotta push the colors, but you also have to let them breathe. And that's how the best watercolor paintings are made. Yeah. Now isn't this lovely? Okay. Getting ourselves some pretty nice colors going in here. Here, I'm gonna put a few more touches over in that area. Okay, that's looking real nice. Oh, by the way, when you really want to get a good look at your painting, sit back and take a good look at it. Sit back and take a good look. And that way, well, you know what I think might really work for my having a moment of inspiration here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this oval mop here. I'm going to try dabbing a little bit of color onto those splashes over there, because I feel like it's really going to help me get a little bit more texture in here that I want. Now again, we need to use a lot more nickel azo yellow to the pyro orange, because that's the way that we're going to get that yellow orange color. Okay. And I want to be real sure. Okay. That I have my tissue paper on hand, my toilet paper. It's my TP. Let's not church it up, right? It's TP. All right, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tap this. Okay? All right. Here it goes. And maybe all right. And that will create a little bit more value in those splashes like this. Okay. And maybe we'll go in here and there. That's just there to create a little bit more interest in what we created. And that should make the piece a little bit more, a little nicer, a little nicer. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other things that we're doing. Ooh, what do you say we add just a tiny bit. I'm going to take my flat brush out, of course. Just making sure that I've got the proper color mixed up here. Here, let's take a little bit of that phthalo. Nab just a little bit of it. Okay. All right. And I just want to add a few more little details over here, like maybe we want to go in here and here. You know, these areas where the light color is kind of showing up. Well, I can cover that up a little bit. There it goes. There. Okay. There it is. I'm having too much fun. That's what I'm doing. All right. I always have such a good time when I'm here with you painting these things. And try not to let them get too uniform. Sometimes I make the mistake of letting things get a little too uniform. And the way you prevent yourself from doing that is just doing that wave motion with this. Just wave it. Okay? Just a little wave. Okay? If it goes too far, you can lift that a little bit. And it'll be fine. Sometimes you want a little bit of that color to shine through there. Okay. There it goes. There it goes. Okay, I think we're getting close to being about done here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take just a little bit of this brown color here. Maybe set it down right in here. Okay. Take some of that dirty brown color right there. Get that. Get that too. Okay. Alright. I'd say we about got ourselves a pretty nice looking painting here. We might go ahead and just throw a few more things in there before we head out. Just to spruce it up a little bit. There, that's looking nice. Yeah, that's a fine looking piece. A real basic idea of what it takes to paint a water scene like this with just a little bit of effort. A little bit of effort is all it takes here. Let's go ahead and throw some there. Okay. That's looking nice. Alright. Yeah, I'd say we're about done. You know what we could do? Oh, I know. We could take our sponge too, and we could we could do it that way. You could take your sponge too and create little bits and pieces of texture in here, just like that. And you can layer this as much as you want, but don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. You overdo it, it's going to look a little silly. Don't overdo it like me. There. Alright. Okay. That's looking nice. That's looking real pretty. Alright, let's go ahead and get our liner brush out. Our script liner. And we're going to go into a color that we usually don't use, called Pyrrole Red. Well, we never actually use it. But I like to use it to sign my name with because it's real thick and easy to use. And I'll sign my initials right here. Yes. Okay. And that's how you know the painting's finished. Well, my friend, hope you had yourself a good time. I really enjoyed this one, and hope you get a lot out of it yourself. Go ahead and practice your seascapes. And unfortunately, it's time for me to get going, so I want to thank you for joining me. And until next time, with love from me to you, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.